But again, as you are growing up, as you become physicalized, as you solidify yourself, as you lower the frequency of your consciousness and become crystallized, or frozen, if you will, into physical reality, you begin a process of slow crystallization as well as the rapid crystallization of your physical form. The slow crystallization takes place over many years, approximately the first 3 to 7 years of physical life. And within this slow crystallization, you begin to absorb and adopt the beliefs, attitudes, and viewpoints of the physical reality and the society that you have chosen to be born into. You begin to adopt the attitudes of your parents, of your friends, of your peers, of your governments, of your power, authority systems, all the things that you know as a very young child intuitively that you must begin to absorb, at least on some level. Otherwise, you will not be able to survive as a physical being. You have to begin to buy into the reality system that you have chosen to be born into, or you will not be a part of it. It will not be able to sustain you. The beings within it will not be able to understand you, or nurture you, or communicate with you, nor you with them. So for the sake of being able to communicate and be sustained by the reality you chose to be born into, you begin to accept the belief systems of that reality for the purpose of forming that link, that bridge, that connection. Now, this in and of itself is not a negative thing. However, because of the way your society has been steeped for many thousands of years in certain limiting and negative belief systems, many of those ideas are still residual within many of you, and unbeknownst very often to you, many of those belief systems are transmitted to the children in your society unconsciously, telepathically. The fears, the doubts, the hesitations, the self-failures, the notions of lack of deservability, lack of competence, all of these notions are encoded within your energy field, within the consciousness that you are, and very often will be imparted to the child on a telepathic level. And because they are so open, so willing to be crystallized into the reality into which they have born, they will soak it all in for the most part. Generally speaking, only a child, only a spirit that has been able to stabilize itself to a certain degree will have any degree of ability at all to refuse to absorb certain negative limitations or belief systems that your society imparts upon that child while it is growing up. Now, this is happening more and more, as more and more beings that are reincarnating on your planet at this time are passing through what we generally call the Arcturus Gate. And this Arcturus Gate is an energy field, a consciousness realm, through which your consciousness can pass and be assisted in its alignment, so that when it chooses to be born again into your physical reality, it comes in more strong, more centered, more focused, more already crystallized, and finds that the old belief systems now can bounce off and not be soaked up by that young child. But still, for now, many children absorb these ideas because they are so open, so loving, so willing to believe that the reality they have been born into supplies them with all the love, the unconditional love with which they were supplied in non-physical reality. Although, again, more and more children are remembering who they were, and thus are not as affected by the idea of the negative beliefs that might go along with the positive ones. But this brings us up to understand that as you are growing up, any time at all, anything that is contradictory to the unconditional love you know you are made of is presented to you. Anytime you are forced by situation to limit yourself, to cut yourself off from that unlimited being that you are, anytime you are in any way, shape, or form coerced into not being allowed to express the totality of your being. Anytime that this occurs, you then choose to diminish your awareness of yourself just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Fit into this mold, that mold. Do it this way. This is the way it's done. You must fit. You must fit. You must fit. You don't want to be thought of as strange or unusual. You don't want to be looked at as crazy and locked up. You must fit. You must belong. You must be one of us. All right. I'll diminish myself a little bit more. And a little bit more, and a little bit more. Because I want you to love me. I am missing the love. Where is the love? Is this the way to get it? To accept what you are saying? To buy into your belief? If I believe as you do, if I limit myself, will you love me? All right, I'll limit myself. But then, after you are so good at doing that, thinking that you are doing it because that's the way you're going to get the love that somehow isn't there, that somehow isn't unconditional, all of a sudden you begin to realize you've been doing it long enough that now you don't know any other way to attract love other than to continue to limit yourself. And so, this is the process that you are now going through to break that chain of limitation, of self-limitation, so that you can understand that you deserve unconditional love anyway, no matter what, just because you exist. There are no specific parameters that must exist to define you to say that you must be this way in order to deserve the unconditional love that comes from all that is. That is your natural state of being. But between the years of 3 to 7, you have learned the lesson of limitation so well that you now almost do not know any other way to be. And sometimes it takes a real shock to the system to break you out of that cycle. To break you out of that self-limitation and complacency. The complacency of accepting yourself as a limited being. Well, yes, this is who I am. This is the way it is. You can't do this and you can't do that. Everyone knows that. That's the way it is. I'll do the best I can. I'll try as hard as I can. I'll try and try, I'll do my best, but well, you know, it may not happen, and that's the way it is, and that's okay, I'll accept that, because I'm a limited being. Because I have learned to accept my limitations so that I will be loved for my limitation. You all have seen it many times, you all have seen it. Why is it that the individual who excels very often is hated and feared by those around them? Why? Why was your expression of the Christ consciousness crucified on the cross? Why? Because of the fear that this was a being expressing the innate unlimitedness within each and every one of you. And the fear that if you expressed that unlimitedness, you would not be loved. You would lose the love you had, the love of your friends, the love of your parents, the love of your peers. So right there you see that the cycle, the pattern, the repetition is do not excel. To excel means you lose the love, or what you think is the love that has been given to you in your life. Don't be such a smart aleck. Don't be such a smarty pants. Mind your P's and Q's. Know your place. All these things, all these notions drummed into you over and 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 over again, just so you will learn that if you want to be loved or receive any semblance of it at all, stay with the status quo. Stay. Be a good boy, be a good girl, stay. Good boy, good girl. Here's your reward, stay. Good boy, good girl. Now I love you. Now I love you. Oh. Don't exceed that parameter. Bad boy, bad girl. No reward. Stay. Stay, 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 stay. Good boy. Good girl. Here's your reward. All right.